All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. We are joined by TV personality Olivia Attwood. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, girls.
Host, podcaster, reality TV superstar.
Really does it all, especially truly, right now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's busy at the minute, yeah.
We felt that way because, you know, we see everything that you're doing, and then, of course, we're looking, I'm like, oh, my God, it's all like happening right now. There's new seasons premiering, your podcast is back, working on other shows, and now you just spent a week in New York for fashion show. How was fashion week? How was
shows that we weren't invited.
Yeah, can you tell I went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but you went Super Bowl. I fear that's more fun.
Could be argued, yes.
Yeah.
How have you been liking New York?
I love New York. You know, I haven't actually been to the city in probably, I was trying to work it out, like almost maybe a decade. Like I was a teenager last time I was here. I lived in Canada for part of my like childhood, so we were coming into New York a lot. But I love it. It's a great city. I was saying to everyone since I've been here, I feel like the cultural difference between like East Coast and London is not too different. I feel like, you know, people straight to the point, you know, the weather's temperamental, everyone has somewhere to be, something to do, and it just feels quite similar.
Everyone's on the go.
Yeah, the sarcastic sense of humor. Like when I'm in LA, I'll drop sarcastic humor, and a girl was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I was like, "Oh no, it's a joke."
Yeah.
No, they don't get it.
They
do not get it in LA. We've had the same experiences when we went there, sort of for the first time when we started working.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction. I feel like I said a joke and they were like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Wait, I'm okay. It's all going to be okay." So I totally feel what you're saying, the similarities between New York and London,
nice.
sort of. Yeah.
What have been your favorite shows this week?
Probably Tory Burch last night. That was cool. It was nice. Like it was a nice crowd, and I mean, the clothes are great.
Yeah.
Is Tory Burch making a huge comeback? Like Tory Burch is in right now?
I feel like very much so. Like almost everything that walked past, I was like, I'd have that. I'd have that. I have this. I'm going to put it on my socials, I think, in a bit. I actually was trying to be in my cool like fashion era, and I got out of the car and I basically slipped on like a piece of ice and did like I always wish I'd just gone down, because you know when you save yourself, it's almost more humiliating. I did like a and then I was like
No, it's always...
And you sort of act like it didn't happen,
Yeah.
but that feeling is still there.
Sometimes when you feel the fall coming, you just got to go down.
Yeah, I'm just like, just go down.
Just got to
like,
go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We joked about it. Here in New York, you get one fall a year.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't happen. Right now, this week, it's going to happen. It's too
I'm
icy.
good for...
So even
one
true New
good
Yorkers,
fall.
they're falling down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Especially if it snows, because they just do not clean up the streets well, and like... Some buildings, it's spectacular. They salt them. It's great.
Yeah.
And then you walk 2 feet, and it's just a slab of
Like
ice.
sheet ice.
One year, I was in my snow boots.
I will never forget
and
this.
I went down like a full flight of subway steps, just all the way down to the bottom.
You
and
I
I laid there for a good 10 seconds before I was like, I'm gonna have to get up, and the people came around me. They were like, "Oh my God, are you alright?" Like
it's a whole scene.
Oh, it was terrible.
And now after
you
talking
hurt?
about this,
I had a giant bruise on my hip. Like it was, and like you're slipping down the steps. You're like, there's no stop.
You're like, this is me now.
Yeah.
Like I just have to like submit to it.
you can't even get up and act like it was nonchalant. You just have to get up and be like, that was fucking horrendous, and everybody saw it.
And I called my boyfriend at the time, my now husband, and I was just like, I literally said, you may have to come pick me up in the subway station. Like you may have to meet me
and carry me
in the subway station right now and help me get home.
So you were leaving New York at a good time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because this would be the week of the full falls.
Why do you think it's going to get worse, the weather?
Yeah,
It's just
tonight.
a lot of snow, which is
Big
not too
snowstorm.
bad. But
Are you headed back to
Back
London?
to London, yeah. Like this has been like, I've been busy. We've been doing stuff and promoting the podcast, going to shows, but it has felt like it's holiday's the wrong word, but it's like I'm doing stuff like that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm going back, not that my job isn't fun, but I'm going back to London to like go back to work, I feel, you know? But I'll go and host like my own show instead of just like being a guest. Because being a guest is nice. I don't know if you girls like feel that, because you just like, I don't have to think about anything before. I'm just like, I just come. It's
the best.
Right.
Like, you know, you have to, when you have a
just
guest
talk, and you forget what you said and you leave.
Yes. Like when I have a guest coming in, I'm like, okay, I need to know everything about them. I need to know how much they've weighed when they're born. Like what's their favorite color. Like it feels very like the pressure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's so true. Ria's a London super fan.
I do love London. I've been 3 times in the past like year and a half.
I hear this a lot from Americans. What is it you like about it?
I personally think it's a better version of New York.
Interesting.
And I also feel like you're in a different time period, if that makes sense. Like the taxis, the cars, like the little alleyways. I just love it. I don't know what, like, I always really, really wanted to go. And when I went for the first time, I was like, well, I hope it, lives up to my expectations. I've built it up in my head. And I was obsessed since the first time that I went back 2 more times. I just love it. Like, I can't, like, the feeling I get there, I'm like, I just feel like a cooler version of myself. And then I come back here and I'm like, I'm not as cool
And that's
anymore.
how probably Londoners feel when they come to New York. But I feel like we are spoilt, like you say. Sometimes I do look around London and I think we're so used to, like you say, visually and the architecture and stuff. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very,
Definitely.
very cool.
I've never been. It's on my.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm going to make you come with me.
I know.
You've got a
Seriously.
podcast slot now.
Yeah,
Yeah, anytime.
Right.
Exactly.
What about the men? What did you think of the?
I'm engaged. I'm getting married in April. So,
Right, so-
I didn't really take a look around.
It's
We just really. I mean, it's a very class. Like we just judge off Love Island now, really.
Right.
You know?
okay. We like flying the flag. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I think that's a mixed fucking. I think like a lot of English people would be horrified.
Well,
I know,
I feel
right?
like
That's-
when we watch Love Island, we're always like, the girls are so cool and awesome. And then the guys were like, what's wrong with them? That's usually the take.
But can I make a? This is a really hot take, and I even like producing shows. I shouldn't really say this, but I feel like he's looking at me. The guys, like, what do you-
He's like, we love this.
I don't know. I almost feel like boys that want to be on reality TV. It's almost a bit of a red flag.
No, I. So
But I don't feel that way about girls.
We say the same thing about.
It's something
So
about-
here it's like the Bachelor and the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
like, and we say the same thing.
what
about,
is
like,
it?
we're always like, oh, the girls on this season of The Bachelor are so cool, and then when it goes to the Bachelorette, we're like, why are these guys doing this?
Yeah, why are they even on the show? But then you meet a lot of the people on the shows and they're really cool and awesome and normal in real life. So you're like, maybe the opportunity just came up to them and they were bored and they were like, why not?
Well-
If you're like constantly signing up to do them, like it's all you some people have been on like 5 seasons now and you're just like, all right, now we know why
And
you're
also
coming
that's
back.
true for girls as well though, because I feel like if you want it so much and you don't care what show it is or at what cost, then it's always going to be an unauthentic representation. I think.
Sure.
So for those that don't know, you were on Love Island 2017 is
BC or something.
Yeah.
Like another lifetime. Yeah.
So
So, it's season 3 of the
Series
UK.
3. That's what
Series
it's
3,
called.
yeah, of the UK original, yeah.
What
Which
what
was
brought
the
you
first
there?
one that we watched.
Oh, stop! Really? That's so funny. It would. To be fair, series 3 was the one like in the UK that blew up. So series 1 and 2 were popular, but so they actually approached me for series 2, and I was all sort of like playing with the idea of going on. I went all the way through the process. I kind of had them fully believing I was going. There was a guy that I was seeing that I was like, I liked him. We were like semi-serious, and then I don't know. I just got cold feet, and I was like, I don't know what that much about this show. Is it? We said it cringe. Like I was like, is it? Am I going to be embarrassed? Like, which is so crazy to say now because it's such a huge show. Because I didn't know that much about it. I was like, it just felt like a risk, and I got cold feet, so I pulled out. And then series 3 came around, and luckily, like after my now husband Brad had like dicked me around, and I was like, I need to get out of here, they offered me to go back again. So yeah, and then it turned out to be the series that kind of really put the brand like global. So everything happens for a reason, right?
That is true. That is very
It
true.
is crazy to see how much it changed from like your season to then later seasons. Like you guys were smoking cigarettes, they were showing so much more. Like, and then it kind of, we don't really see that in the seasons now, but it's still happening. I think they just don't show it.
Yeah, I mean, I get like tagged in TikToks all the time, and I'm like, what show is that? Because someone tagged me the other day, and I'm sitting in the garden. I've got a hoodie on, underwear, not bikini, underwear thong, and I'm just smoking that. I'm just going through like 20 cigarettes while I'm swearing. But it's like, it was so rough around the edges. Like we had no makeup on.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and I just think that, I don't think that necessarily is anything anyone did, but I think when something grows and the cast become aware of how many people are watching, could you get brand deals afterwards? Are you going to get Instagram followers? it automatically affects the way you hold yourself. And I don't think that's anyone's fault. It's just the natural progression of these shows. Because I think maybe, you know, we didn't think that many people were watching, you know?
For sure, but that's what made it even that much
No,
better.
it's like that sweet spot on all show. It happens with every show, I think, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
But we were unfiltered and just like unwashed, it looks like most of the fucking time. We didn't have any of these sponsors with the products in the bathroom, but we were all fighting over like one shower gel. Like,
Right. You mentioned that your now husband, you had dated him previously before going on Love Island.
Yeah.
How did you guys reconnect after everything?
So when I went in, and because he'd been in contact with his ex-girlfriend, and that's kind of what pushed me to take Love Island the second time. And I went in there and I was coupled up with Chris, so people know who watched it. And we argued a lot, but in the villa we were okay when we got on. But it was very like, if we got on, it was amazing, and then the rest of the time it was, you know, I think we'd both describe it as like fairly toxic. It was like one end or the other. And then I'd only been out like 2 days, and I got a call of a blocked number I had got a new phone afterwards because my phone broke when I was in there. And I answered it, and it was Brad, and he was like, "Hi," and I was like, I just went all like, you know, just like your heart just, because I just didn't expect to hear from him. I was like, I've been on this show, like publicly dating this new person, like I was in this whirlwind Love Island like vortex, and I just heard his voice. I knew straight away who it was, and he was awkward, and he was like, "Oh, I just wanted to call and say hi," and we spoke for like a few minutes, and that was it. And I just thought that was really weird. And then I didn't hear anything from him for a couple of weeks. I was like obviously dating Chris, and then we just had a couple of these like bump-ins, like, you know, like we bumped into each other at a nightclub, and then we got like, I just spoke to him. That's all I did in the smoking area. We got papped, and it went in the British press, and that made a big thing. And then so again, then I stayed away from him, but then we just kept crossing paths. And then as Chris and I's relationship like imploded in an almighty shitstorm, like you know what it's like that girl thing, isn't it? It's like then suddenly the ex doesn't look that bad because the one you're with right now like sucks so much. So you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't, like, you know, like it's like familiar, it's safe. So then he started like worming his way back in. He was like took opportunity of the fact that I was, you know, vulnerable.
Well, you saw what else was out there, and you thought,
and I was like,
I'm meant to be with him.
And I was like, God, it is dry out there. Yeah, it is fucking dry.
So now when you podcast together, so, you know, So Wrong It's Right pod, you have a new episode coming with Brad.
Yeah.
What is like the dynamic like of podcasting together? Because it's like you when you're talking to your husband, you're not you're so unfiltered, and then you have to remember like, oh, we are putting this out for the world to listen to.
It's so Brad is like, he plays football, soccer, as you guys call it, and he's not someone that would ever go on a reality TV show. Like, it's not his natural comfort space. But the cute thing about him is like, and I know he does because otherwise he wouldn't do it, he enjoys doing it like with me. So when I have him on as a guest, and actually I think he got like a little bit of a buzz at the fact that series 2 of the podcast, he was like one of the most popular episodes, like rated really highly. So I was like, I don't care if you liked it or not, like this is this is actually now a financial thing. You're coming back in.
Right.
Like,
for the sake of our family, we will be doing more episodes.
Exactly. So he came back on, and like you say, we are really unfiltered. I'm more so unfiltered than him, as he knows, and I almost don't have a line anymore of, you know, what even is privacy. I don't even know. And sometimes I think, oh God, I know our parents listen, but he's very relaxed. Like, it wouldn't work if he wasn't. Like, he's kind of, he wouldn't say half the shit that I say, but he's fine with me saying it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Do
you ever overthink after putting something out there? You're like, I don't want to put this out, but I feel like I have to for the views or whatever. You kind of just do it, forget about it.
Do you know what, with the podcast? No, I think we did a reality TV show that aired in the UK, and I think it went on like some Hulus and things around the world, and we covered our wedding. And I remember in the weeks up to the wedding, I was having a bit of a like a internal argument with myself. I was like, should I be like, because we just had like full access, and like, it was that thing. I was like, is this the right thing to do? Am I going to regret it? You know, and like that's one of the very only times that I've kind of argued with myself a little bit. But then I kind of was speaking to other brides, and so many people that get married just feel like overstimulated and like they've had the absolute life sucked out of them anyway. I was like, fucking hell, I might as well.
Yeah.
I might make some money out of it.
You're going to be posing for a bunch of pictures anyway, filming a bunch anyway.
Yeah, you're going to have the videographer and the
exactly.
photographer.
Right.
Like,
You're being followed around by a camera either way.
It's basically a production.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the only time a little bit. But yeah, apart from that, I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at with stuff. I think like, you girls will get it as well. It's harder than ever to be in this industry because no one really knows what they want. They want to be entertained. They want you to like kind of be unfiltered and tell your opinions on stuff. But then obviously, like God forbid, you don't have their opinion. They're gonna like let you fucking know. So you just have to like kind of batten down the hatches when that happens and ride the wave. Otherwise, I think then you shut down. You don't have any of your personality out there. And then what?
Right. No, that's so true.
It's hard.
There's sometimes like if you say something that's a joke and then you have to say like I'm bad with this because I'll say what I think people will understand is that I'm joking and then people will be like, why did you say that? Or what did that mean? And I was like, oh, I was joking. So then I'll say something and then I'll go, I'm just kidding. But then that ruins the joke, having to say that you're kidding constantly.
Yeah, and then
so it's like a battle, you know?
100%. And I feel like, you know, people want to be offended for some reason in this, like, the last couple of years. It's something that I think people actively look at things and kind of go, how can I be offended by this? Rather than just, like you say, taking it for what it is.
Entertainment,
You know, there are some things that aren't funny and that I'm glad that we've stopped joking about them. But there has to be a line, doesn't it? Life is so shit at times. Like, if we can't take the piss out of it, what have we actually got?
For sure.
Especially as you girls like being from New York and like from London, it's like humor is like is honestly medicine. Like that's very much my friendship group is dark humor. Like when I'm in my darkest depths, I want my friends to like take the mick out of me. That's how it brings me back.
Right.
You know?
Humor is a way that a lot of people cope with things. Like I think we can both relate to that too. It's like, well, even when you're having a bad day, right? You're just like, well, I'm just gonna make a joke out of this because I'm gonna throw my hands up in the air and there's nothing else I could do at this point.
Exactly.
For sure.
I don't know, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to. So now that you've kind of you've been in the world, but now you've done so much in the production side, the business side, behind the scenes, hosting, where did like the love for jumping into this reality TV kind of like docuseries life come from?
Just such a hard question, you know. I feel because it happened really organically and everyone was always asked me like, was that the plan? Like, did you have a plan? And I was like, I didn't even have like underwear for the 7 days of the week when I left Love Island. Like there was no plan. And I think we went really quickly into filming a spin-off reality show, which obviously was hard because the relationship between Chris and I didn't work. But what I realized really quickly was that I liked making telly. Like it felt really comfortable for me. I felt like I liked working with the producers. I liked working with ITV. So that I knew, and I kind of felt like it's a weird thing to say you're good at it, but I knew that it's something I could do as a job. It didn't feel like, some people come off reality shows and they're like, you're never going to catch me on a TV set again. Set? Yeah, like a set. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't feel that way. I felt the opposite. So then basically the jobs just started kind of coming in and I started to sort of like learning the craft and sort of taking the opportunities I could. And I was like, then I wanted to kind of move into hosting space. So I was like, where can I get experience? Where can I because I think you should pay your dues. And I think that the reason it's worked the way it has, I hope, up until this point quite well, is I've never been given anything that I feel like I wasn't ready for. Like, I think if they'd given me the docuseries, like, you know, the first couple of months out of Love Island, I'd have been like, oh my God, yes. But it would have sucked. Like, I would have screwed it up so badly and no one would have watched it. So I feel like everything's happened when it's meant to happen, you know, even though sometimes it's felt like, you know, you want that thing now, but actually it's coming in the right time.
Yeah. I love seeing because I cannot wait for when things get released in the US. Like we're on a little bit of a delay. Normally with regular Love Island, it's only on a couple days delay. Love Island All Stars right now. But I I have a VPN. I go on like I go on ITV.com. I watch something, and when I
get
see
the emails for ITV,
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, I'm there.
When I open the homepage on my computer, I always see you. There's always there's always a show. So season 3, right, of Getting Filthy Rich. What can you tell us about the cast of characters you've got on this season?
So yes, it's out now, and I have to say the reaction's been insane. Like it always surprises me because even though I should, I guess on some level, know that people like the show and that's why we're making more, it is a kind of, it's an out there like concept, like it's really explicit, and I think that people can sometimes receive that content one or two ways, but I think the way that we make the show, the tone of it, the fact that you're going to get to find out the things you want to find out, like what these people earn, what are they doing on OnlyFans, how does OnlyFans work, but also we have fun with it, and we're empowering the girls that are part of the show. This is not a documentary where we're trying to shame anyone or kind of any judgment. I'm literally just like genuinely curious, and they're great. This series is wild. We have, the most popular I think so far has been like the gilfs. So I meet the grannies who do the OnFans.
Yeah.
And they love life.
That is super interesting. And like you said, it's just interesting in general, just like the field of sex work. I mean, just finding out like you said, how much they earn, what goes into it. Like there's so much more than we think.
Yeah.
What is sort of the craziest thing you have found out while doing this series?
It's kind of a general answer, but I guess it's just the scale. It's the fact if you think about things like OnlyFans, you think about the money being earned and like say like the big creators, the amount of messages they're receiving a day and requests. Like if you I would love to do a documentary and kind of spin it on the other way, although we found it so hard to get in touch with people that buy,
Right.
But it's just the sheer volume of the men in our society that are buying this content. Like it is someone's dad, brother, colleague, like, everyone, no one's really admitting to it, but the numbers show that it's the scale is insane.
Well, of course they wouldn't be making this money.
Somewhere.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
So much money.
Brad's like, if you ask me one more time if I buy OnlyFans, I'm just going to freak. Every time I come home from filming and I'm just like eating dinner, I'm like, so
just tell me.
Have you ever found grandmothers attractive? He's like, Liv, I don't want to do this again. I'm like, but 100 dudes in this day. He's like, hey, I'm not one of the 100, but my mind is like, but you must be.
You're like, these numbers are not adding up. My calculation.
It's
statistically one of you must be doing this.
And I feel like it's not going anywhere. And I feel like, we need to be educated because I feel like this is the change of the sex industry and it's here to stay whether we like it or not. And I think the best thing we can do for our daughters and our sons and whatever is understand it. Because also the thing that I don't like is that a lot of the tones of the stuff that people want, that men want from sex workers online are really problematic. And I don't think we should hide from that either,
Right.
Why do so many men feel this way about women at the moment? Like this is a really
the things
scary.
that they're requesting.
Yeah, like like then a lot of the girls will say to me like, they have requests for, a content that has a tone of whether it's hurting women or controlling women, then they're like, I'm not going to fulfill these kind of requests, but it's common, like it's all the time. And I think that's something that we, like as women, we should be, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is super interesting.
Absolutely.
I mean, so much like psychology goes into that.
I know.
For sure.
So many people should be like hopping off OnlyFans into therapy, but
Right. Now I want to ask more about the grannies that you said. Did you find that a lot of them were, maybe they were married and time has passed and now they're kind of just like, all right, what am I to do with my life? Like what are some of the stories?
So there's quite a mix, but there's one lady in particular and she was like a devout Christian for like her whole life, like had one husband, one sexual partner, and she's literally started doing camming and content when she got into her 60s. She was like, just wanted a change.
She just wanted to feel free.
Yeah, clearly she felt put in a box.
Loves it. Like she loves the job. She's having a great time, and I got to watch that. I got the live show.
It really is
so
it really is fascinating because it's you just learning like the history and what they were doing before and how they just made it to this point, and clearly it brings her joy.
She's not making the most money out of all the people I've met, but like you say, an element of freedom and a kind of a new life. She feels attracted and wanted, and yeah.
Did you take a look at her subscribers?
Yeah. I not the actual, because a lot of people who have OnlyFans subscriber accounts, it's like they don't have their real name,
right? It's like fake profile,
like
they put in like fake ages and stuff. Okay,
so like just a bunch of digits, so there's not a picture. So so very rarely I get to actually see a customer. I did throughout other episodes. I saw like on webcam and a couple in real life, but it's really hard, as you can imagine, to interview the people that buy the content.
Sure.
They don't want to.
No.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They're not popping up on the show.
They don't want people knowing they're subscribed to Granny.
Yeah, they're like, let me tell you exactly what, I want to see. It's like, you're like, okay, maybe we don't really want to know that.
Yeah, it's like wife's at home and mum's watching. It's like, don't worry.
Like, oh no, Johnny, why?
Not our grandmother, our own grandmother.
But now I look at people, like I'll just be observing someone in a coffee shop or whatever, and I'll be thinking, I bet you like some weird shit. Yeah, I'm like, it's completely perverted the way I see everyone, especially men. Yeah, I'm like looking, I'm thinking, I bet you buy a bit of OnlyFans on the weekend.
Yeah, right. Not like, you can't be naive to anything anymore. No, especially in this world now. It's just like,
no, it's like, do you ever? I hope this isn't the case of one of you girls, but if you ever like hear those girls who are like, oh, my boyfriend just thinks like strip clubs are so dirty and like porn is so horrible, and like, it makes him laugh. And I'm like, he's laughing in that sock. He's like, okay. I'm like, I'm not going to ruin it for you.
He watches it for the story.
The plot.
Yeah. The acting. Yeah. Tons of people also look to you on social for your opinions on the show and what's going on and everything that's happening. Do you have any Love Island All-Star thoughts, or maybe like a favorite couple? I'm sure you might be a little behind.
I'm a bit behind for being here, because actually I didn't have the setup that you guys have. Like, I'm now here and I was like, fuck. I can't actually get to watch my own shows. What do I know? My favourite, so Ronnie, if you're watching it, he's, as you guys might know, he was Brad's best man at our wedding. I've known him for like 10 years. I love him so much. He's genuinely, like, he's been naughty with girls, like, he can be a player, but he's a genuinely good guy. So I love him. I'm making this sound, and I hope that him and Harriet work. Yeah, that's what I'll say on that. I think that he is obviously completely besotted with her. I just hope that she's sure, because I think right now she's giving unsure, and because I can see that he's gone into he's like lover boy central now. I want her to be sure, because I don't want his little heart to get broken.
I agree. I mean, he is. He feels like totally obsessed with her.
Brad rang me. Brad texted me this morning, like, UK. I was here in New York, and he was like, "What are we gonna do?" He's like, "I'm actually worried about my mate." I was like, Liv. He's like literally following her around this villa. Like, he's lost every
They showed the clip of the heart rate challenge, where he's just like literally like prancing like a dog.
Very funny, isn't
which
it?
is
that
so
was the
funny.
Best. He is hysterical. He is so funny. This, like, one of the last couple episodes, they did one of those games of, which couple do you think is this? And it was like, who do you think wears the pant? Like, which couple wears? And everyone was like, oh, Harry and Ron. Ronnie
she was like so pleased with that, and I was oh. And the others, I like Gabby. She was on my series. I keep trying to go season series. We
say season,
and then I almost switched to series for you.
I'm going season.
I know. I like series better.
Yeah, I like series.
And she's actually the nicest girl. Such a nice girl. And I was unsure on Casey in the beginning. I have to say, like, when I was first, I was like, he's grown on me. 100%. If nothing other than he's a good Islander.
He totally is. And on the show, I've always been like, oh, like, he's not on the show for whatever, he's having fun. But
because he's been in 3 times.
Yeah, this is his 3rd time. But this, like, it was when I would really watch more of his social media stuff, his TikToks. I was like, oh, he's funny.
Yeah,
he's funny. And rarely do I watch the unseen bits. Like, a lot of times I skip over that episode. But this one I've been watching because between him, Ronnie, the girl, like, they're really funny. There's some really funny moments. Do you find that there's like more people that All Stars is different because, of course, probably people have met in passing and whatnot. But like going on a season that they know each other more in real life, because it's like Luca and Harriet. They grew up together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so crazy. They're just kind of saying it and they've been on the show for weeks. I'm like, how does this not like immediately get said?
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think there is more cast connections as the series have gone on. I don't know why though. Like from our series, my series, it was like none of us had ever even heard of each other ever. Yeah. I think that maybe they are casting more from... Like they might go casting in like a popular club in like Manchester or Essex, and then they might like grab, and then it's just like accidentally you get people whose friendship groups cross over, and then I think it doesn't hurt when people have a little bit of because then it can kind of add to
maybe casting directors also see, they're like, oh, this person hangs out with this guy all the time, he looks like he'd be great for the show or something, you know?
And even now, like with All Stars, because they were on past seasons, they're all like DMing each other prior. I mean, we saw that with Luca and Sammy.
Oh, I felt bad. Sammy got the short end of the stick.
I agree.
Came in at a tough time.
When you come in late like that, I feel like it's so hard.
And she was out there for a long time waiting.
Yeah.
And I think that's really tough when you're in the country, you're waiting to kind of be called up, and then like you say, like it's the chance of trying to break someone up at this stage is really...
I was gonna say, what do you think about, there's been a few people who have seemed to have flown to South Africa and not go on.
I heard about one girl. I don't know if that's true or not. I genuinely don't know if that's true. If it is, I think the story I heard was I forget her name now.
I think it was Lucinda.
Yes. Yeah. That she just was there for too long, and then she decided that, and I kind of respect that. And I was,
I did too. If I was like waiting in the hotel room and be like, all right, they've been filming for weeks now, I'm going home.
Right. Because then you come in too late at a point.
Yeah.
Where
my friends who work in production would be like cursing, would be thinking, shut up right now, Liv. But I think, from a production side, it's a nightmare. But from a personal point, I mean, you know what? Yeah. It's a bit like going in that going in that late is hard, and it can be quite soul destroying. I think like you're on your own. Everyone's like doesn't want you here. Like I get it.
Right. They build those connections up. I mean, with Sammy, Luca, and Grace, it was like people were already rooting so heavily for Luca and Grace. So when you have people who are fans of that couple and a new person comes in, whether they're the most amazing girl, sweetest, whatever, people just automatically are going to put that person down, hype the other one up, or they're going to prop her up and put Grace down. Then these two women are pitted against each other, and like that's sort of what I see happening right now online, is that they've been pitted against each other.
And then people are making Sammy look like she's insane for mentioning the birthday DM. But it's like obviously she'll keep being asked about that, but now it just looks like she just can't.
Right.
I'm like, she's actually only said it like twice, but then everyone's here she is again talking about this DM, and I'm like, but obviously that's her connection to him. So she's going to be asked.
Right. You almost can't blame. I mean, you can't blame her for bringing up the DM. Like if you're going in and you're like, well, he was clearly interested in me. He DM'd me.
And you kind of have to say it because he was so close with Grace, where it's like, you need to give some background, or else she's just gonna come off like kind of bitchy. Like she's just gunning for Luca.
Right.
Like,
and if they don't say it, and somehow people find out after the fact,
shady.
The fans get so mad afterwards. They're like, we didn't know about the DMs. Like that happened on a Bachelor in Paradise season, where a couple was DMing prior, and then people found out and they got all mad. They're like,
I'm gonna like destroy the season,
and they tried to hide it, and like they literally, it was like they went home miserable in the cab, and people found out
a heinous crime.
Right. It was like, we cannot believe they DM'd before they got here, and like people were so upset. So I was like, thank God she said something, because if you don't, then people get extra upset if they don't.
Reality show fandom is like that should be a documentary.
I know,
right? No,
that should be. That should be your next project.
Yeah, the way that people like flip out.
Yes, and we just had it with the last US Love Island season. Like took off how series 3 did for you guys. Like it just,
and with the fans like hate her, love her.
It was unlike anything I've ever seen before, and you need to do a documentary on this, because you need to go to their homes and see what's going on. Like the commenters, like are they doing it 24/7? Like do they have extra phones and laptops going on? Like what is going on at home?
People, it's like, they'll have their profile picture like, my grandkids are my life, and then they're messaging some like young girl being like, you're a whore. And I'm like, but you just think their families have no idea.
They're like 12-year-old girls, and I'm like, your mom doesn't. You took your mom's phone. Like you should not be on social media.
Yeah.
Like there's been I'm looking. I'm like, this is just. I'm like, this girl's in middle school. She's sending me Instagram DMs that she doesn't agree with my Love Island opinions.
Yeah. And you're like, you should be in bed.
No, right.
This is not your problem.
Yeah. We went on a after sun in Fiji for Love Island US, and harmless jokes were said. We got off of there. We were in Fiji, and our DMs, comments, whatever, were flooded with just like 12-year-old girls telling us that we were ugly and like the worst people ever. And at one point we were laughing, then we were like, wait, this is getting a little scary. Like we're like, they're gonna come find us.
No, they were like your podcast should end.
No, they were like it was like your podcast is done with.
Yeah. They were like, we're gonna get you guys fired for saying that like you think like she might like one of the girls that maybe likes one of the other guys. Like it was.
Oh my God.
I remember that. It was like who's their boss? They need to be fired.
No, it was really out of this world. But
contacting HR.
It is fascinating, and it should be. I mean, we could talk about this for hours.
That's the next documentary.
I know. I do want to finish up and ask you. This is kind of our Armani Beauty. We have a little gift for you as well.
Gift is for you.
Armani Beauty question.
Yeah.
It is kind of like confession based, but we can do. I'm curious about this, and I guess it could be kind of a confession, but we in the U.S. like see the UK tabloids and everything that's happened, and it always feels so much more intense and crazy. Is that how you guys feel about it at home, or is it like you guys see TMZ and you're like, that's crazy too?
Well, you think our press is like more savage?
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting. Is that how you feel?
I do sometimes.
I guess
with
I guess I'm not sure, because ours is crazy too.
Yeah.
You know,
but
if you think about it.
A lot of ours, and social media crosses both sides for sure. But like, I don't know if it's more like royal family or whatever. Even I
think that might be it.
But even like with like Molly, May, and Tommy.
Yeah.
Like I would just do a Google search of her name sometimes and just see the headlines that would come up. And I'm like, they don't get it like this.
I guess because we're a smaller country as well. So it's like maybe there's less to choose from.
How have you felt dealing with it? Because I'm sure your public life has been.
It's a funny one. I think you definitely. You go into something like show like Love Island. Now it's different because I think they give them some, try and give them some advice. But with no media training, I don't know how to work with the press. I don't know do you know if someone is mean to you, a journalist, do you like tweet them and go shut the fuck up? Like I would learn really quickly, don't do that. Yeah. Like you kind of was learning on the job, So you realise that if you want to kind of have a career in the industry, you have to. The press is something that is like a non-negotiable. And when you have a good relationship with press, you need press to do your shows and your podcasts and everything. So it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? And then with that, sometimes there's going to be some stuff that you don't love, or sometimes there's going to be some stuff that's not 100% factual. For me, the way I handle it, and I cannot speak for everyone because I know some people have very different opinions on this. I don't have Daily Mail or Sun, anything on my phone. I don't do Google ads, searches ever. I have like a team, so like if anything was awful, like they'd bring it to my attention. And I just try to think, unless it was a story where it was actually affecting my my character, and it was actually something I was being accused of something serious. I try to think of it's not that deep.
Yep.
And that's the only way that I think you can actually survive. And I think if you don't, you see people that go insane. And I think like reality TV, fashion, showbiz report, it's not that deep. Like it's really not. Like in the grand scheme of life, it's, am I going to worry about that in a year? But I think that some people get so bent out of shape over, I didn't say that, or I was wearing, I wasn't wearing red shoes, I was wearing blue shoes. And it's like, well, actually, you're going to make yourself ill and crazy if I think you just have to kind of realize that you want to be in this game. It's part of the deal, which I know some people don't want to hear, but it is. You also can't decide when it suits you. You can't be like, I really want press and I really want magazine interviews to promote my podcast and my show, but don't talk about the fact that I went out with setting powder on to the club and looked like, I was in a snowstorm. Yeah, like that's the deal. So you kind of have to, just don't get too deep in it unless it's something that's not fair, and then you have a right to advocate for yourself.
I feel like that's really fair and a kind of a great way to think about it, where you're like, it's not that serious that like in a year from now, will I even be thinking about that this happened? Next week, will I even be thinking about
just
it?
don't, like, they'll be like, you're feuding with someone or you're dating someone, and I'm just like I say, I'm just like, oh, okay, like. I laugh. I find it funny.
Right. Yeah. I think you
That's a great attitude to have about it.
I think you kind of have to. We have to wrap up. I could literally talk for hours. Truly, like so much. But please tell everyone all the shows you got going on. I mean, it's a long list.
Busy.
Yeah.
Okay, so my podcast, So Wrong It's Right, is available on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, all those places. And then all of my shows, let's just do that, are available on ITVX and some Hey Yous and Hulus, like Australia, I think, have it. I don't know why they've like favoured. We need to get it pushed onto the US one.
Right. I think I've seen some on Hulu for sure.
Okay. Yeah. But ITVX with a VPN, you can watch everything.
I was gonna say, just get a VPN like we have,
and
then you can keep up with everything.
All the cool girls have VPN.
That's where I am
for sure.
And I get girls get mad at me so much because I like post on my stories and I'm like, what? They're like, how are you watching?
No, we need.
How are you watching?
We need every step of how you got this VPN.
I'm like, okay.
We go through it every year.
I'm like, just join in this life. Like,
welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to be watching exactly when it's happening in the UK.
You should do a sponsor with VPN.
Right.
I know.
You're giving them so much free.
We should. I get emails like every month about my ITV subscription.
Yeah.
It's re-up.
ITV, pay up, and VPN. It's time.
I'm like, all you have to just make up a postal code, just make an account. Like,
Right. Honestly, sponsor us.
Thank
you so much, Olivia.
You so much,
oh, girl, it's been so much fun. Thank you.